Hello and welcome back. We have a lovely familiar face to Dying Exposure's channel. I talk about the channel like it's a professional thing and it's not just a place that I put content on. I'm Steve, you probably already know that, and this is Jordan. Welcome back, Jordan.
Hello, so good to be here. So good to see you. It's been too long.
It has been too long. I brought Jordan on to surprise talk to him about Never Stop Blowing Up, even though he's not finished with it. No,
oh no.
We're talking about Worlds Beyond Number, which I have some content on before. It's for those that don't know, it's maybe the best actual play podcast, if maybe not the best actual play that's ever been done.
I think I saw someone say it's one of my favorite podcasts that's ever been done, and I was like, oh yeah, we are probably creeping into, like, forget the disclaimer of actual play. It is genuinely one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to.
It might be some of my favorite. I was talking with someone last night. Worlds Beyond Number might be just competing with my favorite television, scripted fiction shows. It is so very good. So, spoilers for Worlds Beyond Number up to this point. We're talking about the wrap-up of Arc 3, what that means.
It's WitchCon, baby!
What?
WitchCon, baby!
WitchCon, indeed. If you aren't caught up with Worlds Beyond Number, stop listening to this. Hit a like and subscribe, but stop listening to this, and then go listen to the 30 some odd episodes of the main campaign. The children's go subscribe to their Patreon so you can listen to the children's adventure and side content. It's honestly, as far as D&D podcasts or actual play podcasts go, it's not that deep of a back library.
It really isn't.
So, get in while the getting's good.
You got a month to catch up before they get back into, main campaign. They're off for all of September, so...
you are gonna love it. Because... okay, so, generally, obviously, Jordan, yourself, myself, have been on the Worlds Beyond Number train since the announcement and the excitement, because... we're from the Dimension 20 fandom space. And so it was an obvious win of being like, yay! And finally, Aabria somewhere regularly all the time. And Erika somewhere regularly all the time. And more Brennan and Lou. So if we were to talk about Worlds Beyond Number in the broadest sense, do you think that this could be, for those that are fans of actual plays, whether it's streaming or YouTube VODs or podcasts, do you think that that this last arc is like a spike in quality or a spike in storytelling thing, or is it just sort of the natural progression that it's had? Like, how do you feel about it in comparison?
Is it I think it's both. I think the natural progression is this is going to continue to get better forever. And also, I am full of flabbergasted at how good Arc 3 was. The fact that it takes place over 48 hours. And it's not a dungeon crawl that's, we fought a dragon for 5 hours and we split that into 2 episodes. And that was that's half the episode. But, it's literally just they roll initiative twice, maybe. And I think one of those is just to determine who goes first. Literally,
it's
just
not even combat in any way, shape, or form.
It's just hey, someone's coming up the stairs. Roll initiative to see if you get to do it before them or not. And it's oh, okay. But yeah, it's so good. It's. I mean, I don't know other words to describe it. It's the best thing I've ever listened to. And every week I'm I think I don't know if I've said this somewhere else. I think I said it to Taylor Moore, but I had to pause the episode. It's every episode of this arc basically to be all right, how am I going to steal this and put it into my campaign? That's the only thing that slows me down listening, is that I literally just have to be this is so good, it has to be in my world now.
It's genuinely, and I've done videos about stacking shock and awe with this, because this was this arc, especially WitchCon, the witch meet or witch moot, if you will, the convergence of them. I talk a lot about stacking shock and awe with that, where it's I'm going to introduce big NPCs, and it's not gonna be like a normal GM. Understandably, would be like, here's the main NPC that I want you to care about, and Brennan's like, what if I did that 4 times in a row?
Yeah.
And also the space that you're in, and also all of their retinue, and also separately from all of that, there's so much inter-party tension that could have just been the whole thing. But it's like, it's an and that would be normally overwhelming, but is amazing because they spend 48 hours living almost beat for beat with this space. So you really get to sink into it. And I think that same thing goes for Arc 3 as opposed to Arc 2, as opposed to Arc 1, where Arc 1 is phenomenal. And you're like, what a great... let me rephrase. The children's adventure is amazing.
Yes.
As a character building session 0 mini campaign. Then you get Arc 1 and you're like, this is incredible. Then you get Arc 2 and you're like, this new space is huge. This building tension is huge. It's getting better. And then Arc 3. So it's almost like within itself, it is relaying what is happening over the actual play itself, which is you can spectacle it to a degree that I don't think most people would do. I think they would see it as like too much noise, too big, too large, and instead it's like, no, we have hours and hours to tell the story. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be big, and then we're gonna explore the intricacies of it, and everyone listening will be like, now I'm fully in. I'm all the way in on this, and then we can build that to a higher crescendo, and it's wild. It's wild how good this arc is.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be a day, like obviously after an arc where I'm like, oh, that I liked arc, like it's gonna be wild to top Arc 3 for me. But I probably also would have said the same thing about Arc 1, 2, and the children's adventure. And like I at some point I'm sure there will be a time when I'm like, Arc 3 is my favorite of like all of the arcs. We're 8 arcs in, and I think Arc 3 is the best they've done.
Yeah.
But there is no part of me that is worried that a dip in quality is gonna be like it's still the best thing I've ever listened to. It's just not as good as the other thing they did. Like it's just not, like, it can't match that intensity. But also it might. I don't know what they're gonna do next.
I from the fireside chats, there was an implied mortal danger in the next arc, and I'm like, well, that's a way to go with it, is being like, this arc was all, I mean, there was mortal danger for Ame in this arc,
right.
But this arc, and I guess Ursulon, and I suppose there was mortal danger in this arc.
Set up some mortal danger for wizards as well.
It was a mortal danger arc, but like, it's just now. Let's dive into.
Actually, before we dive in, I want who's your favorite witch of the thing? We'll set aside Ame because obviously that doesn't count.
Obviously it's Ame, but that's the lazy answer. Okay, this is gonna be a weird take. I've really become affectionate toward the character of Marara.
Okay. Yeah.
Because at first I was like, oh, they set her up as Danger Needle Witch and everything, and then toward the end of this arc, they're like, oh no, she is just a whole unit or like individual person thing, whatever's going on under the hood there.
Yeah.
But she is just a whole individual consciousness that is as inexperienced as anyone else can be, and as much a complete character. And there's so much implied that we don't really get to dive into because there's not like an emotional moment.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of meat on that bone of like how good of a antagonist and the directions you can go with that kind of character that I just wasn't ready for. And then in like the last 2-3 episodes of the arc, I was like, oh, this is way deeper. This is perfect subjective storytelling of like revealing behind the curtain, because by the nature of them being player characters, they can only know what they know and what you reveal to them. So it really sets the tone up one way and then kind of pivots what the character actually is. What about
love
you?
That. It's Grimoire, because I'd never experienced any description like her before ever. Like Indri, Marara, Hakea a little less, but like, you know, like
You've
those,
seen
like,
that witch.
yeah,
You've seen that witch before.
witch, and I had never, like, it was so like, what, like the I will never stop thinking about there is no magical law that would prevent her from hunting you and killing you, like, for the rest of my life. Like, I was like, I'm obsessed with this. Like, this is incredible. I love everything about her, even though she is so awful. But like, yeah, like, I can't get enough Grimoire. Like, I just, yeah, it was because it was introducing me to something that I had never seen, thought about, or considered. I was just like, I didn't know you could still do that. Like, you could introduce such a wild concept.
It's really a good force of nature character, where it's for those of us that are old enough, it's the Yeti and Ski Free. The Yeti's coming for you in Ski Free. You just gotta keep eyes out, and you probably will end via the Yeti. And to have that as a
Capri Sun.
You will be Capri Sun. Have that as a witch. To have that as like one of the main witches of the Conclave is wild. Because that would normally be like, oh yeah, there's a lieutenant that's an executioner or something like that in a soldier, and they're like, no, that would be calm. That would be like comforting in its familiarity. This instead is a full wild animal kind of character in a conclave of
that is a
witches.
level 20 magic user. Like,
oh
it
my
is
goodness.
Wild. I loved that. I think it was in one of the talkbacks where Brennan talked about, like, look, these are level 20 magic users. Of course, like, it'd be like, you know, like if you roll into the end of your campaign, and like you get a description of what your character's new armor, like everything that you've done from 1 to 20. Of course, they're going to seem like truly as buck wild as possible, because they're so old and powerful. But
all of the witches are just like full main character energy. And it's and describing it that way, like building them almost as if they were player character, like they were full-fledged, fully filled out heroes, protagonists in their own journey. Just phenomenal, because it means that it's that confidence that's like, hey, if we don't get to it now and the story goes that way, we'll get to it. But like, you're gonna get overwhelmed by this now, and then the mystery is almost like, okay, I've seen the spectacle, but who are these people? And we got a lot of that. God, this fucking arc. I think that the direction that this has gone in showing people how little anyone should care about the mechanics of combat is there. And it's not so much that I don't like the combat engine of D&D. I do like the combat engine of D&D a lot, but like, it hasn't mattered in the traditional sense, and then when it comes up, it matters so much more. Ursulon getting swallowed up, and then everyone coming, and Suvi having to kind of end around and adjust to the like pact made, the word given, and everything, and that was so good as a combat it's weird to even call it a combat episode, because it never feels slow, chunky, or obvious. It always feels like every choice is as important as the story choices made in any other part of the arc. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal. So what I was gonna move into, and I think that this is important, is that one of the like cruxes, I think, of Worlds Beyond Number that is like imminent through every arc, and is kind of a building thing that they just seem to be reasonably unwilling to resolve quickly, is inter-party friction. This is it's what my character would do and feel, but in the most earnest, good faith, excellent storytelling way that possibly could be. Capably done. How did you feel, Jordon, about the we'll just stick with the first part of it. Suvi and Ame's journey as characters in this arc, because it starts hot and it ends hot.
Yeah.
Or it starts tense and it ends tense. How did you feel about that?
I mean, it's so good, right? Like, it's, I don't know if I talked about this in a video that I made, but like, I would trust no one else in the world to do this, basically. Like, I wouldn't trust myself to do this.
No.
It is obviously beyond just like, we're checking in to make sure everything is okay. That's a given that is happening.
Of course, yeah.
But like that they know that they can split the party. They're going to get back together. Brennan's going to bring them back together smoothly. They can have this wild tension within the group, especially because, and again, I mean, coming back to the children's adventure, right, of they have established a lifelong permanent friendship, that true friend concept of just like, hey, we may fight pretty wildly at times, but there is a love behind everything that we do. And like, it would take like, I mean, good God, like Suvi, I'll like burn the world down to get to you, like that. I mean, I know that was to Ursulon, but that sentiment certainly applies to Ame as well. Of just like, I'm gonna roll in here, and I think it happens in one of the episodes. I know it happens in one of the episodes where like, it may be Grimoire, like the Grimoire pop in the wizard is when Subi's like, got it, I'm on Ame's side. Like, it's time to flip that switch. We're no longer mad at Ame. We are in mortal peril. Like, we gotta focus up on who's our allies here. But yeah, it's something that like I said, I wouldn't trust myself to do. I don't know that I would trust the intrepid heroes to pull that kind of that off. Like, it is something that is so magical that they can capture, and it doesn't fall into, it's what my character would do in the video that we're stitching on TikTok to be like, hey man, shut up. Like,
no, it's everything is so earned, and it's that patience that this show has about like we'll get there, we will get there, and we will earn it, and it will be better, because like, we're all, of course, as you know, fans of this party and as fans of these players, and this story, we're all rooting for, man, I just want you all to be on the same side with the same purpose, and we're all desperate for that to happen, right? As the audience, we want that. These are our heroes. We love them all. They disagree with each other. I might have opinions on how Ame is deeply wrong, but like, we're all in that kind of place, and even like fictional capable crew like this that can carry this amount of tension and weight and make it work, like, the instinct would be like, now give the audience the payoff, give each other the payoff of like, let's all be friends and get on the same side of everything. And the absolute resistance of it, they're only level 3, level 4.
I believe 3. They may have leveled up after
they may
the arc.
have leveled up,
know.
But they've only gone through 3 levels and everything. There's a lot of story. There's a lot to go on, and every bit of that story is gonna be better if you are patient with this and let it resolve itself when it should, not when even the players or Brennan or anyone involved with this certainly Ursulon would like it to resolve. I love the difference in that tension too, because Suvi's and Ame have this like conflict of who prioritizes what Ame's kind of philosophically asking Suvi to do, what Suvi is calling Ame out on. It's like, you're kind of I understand you hate systems of power, but this isn't necessarily better. Like all that kind of complicated nuance there. I love that tension between them about that goes instantly, not fully out the window, but just silences down by like 90% in regards to the conflict that is inherent in Suvi and Ursulon's just shared space, because it's like, well, because you're a spirit. So for you, this is all very personal and real and impacting you in a way that Ame is kind of making choices about it. You are just going to be like, it's like, we went into a gallery where there was a bunch of captured spirits. In no way would you expect Ursulon to not behave like that was true. And I like that. And again, that's a shout out to Aabria, of course, who is amazing. No matter what Jordon says, is one of the best.
One of the best.
If not the best person to have at it. It's hard. Like we're not comparing quality at the level that Aabria, Erika, Lou, and Brennan are all operating at this point. They're all just like, yeah, they're best. They're all goats. They're the best in the game, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like you said, like the that conflict that you want, that we as audience members want to dissipate. Just a huge shout out to Brennan for not letting it, but bringing in Tefmet to be like, not yet,
not yet.
Like,
It's only been 2 months in game time, so we're not resolving something so quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to introduce a wrinkle that will tear apart people.
Oh God, Tefmet introduction. Holy shit. All that tension. Again, just refusing to just end it on the kind of obvious beat of it's like, okay, this is about Ame surviving the Conclave. And it's like, it is. But also,
the vote was episode 32. Like, there were 2 more episodes after. Like,
yeah. What's the actual problem? Oh, this is the actual problem. And just an absolute banger of tension. What do you think about Lou Wilson's portrayal of Ursulon, who is in very less tied? Was that a question? Specifically in his relationship with the Man in Black, true big bad, at least for all of us now, the known big bad enemy.
First of all, obviously, hugest shout out to Brennan and Taylor for putting in a post-credit scene that 3 of the players didn't know about. That's
that was
funny.
Great to listen to on the fireside. What is this? Who is this? Did we meet this person?
So funny, so perfect. I mean, look, it's I think Lou plays it so brilliantly of like, hey, you can't destroy my 2 best friends in the world, the only people basically who've ever been kind to me, because you want to kill Ame because she's standing in the way of you killing Suvi. Like, that is your path. But also, like, also you are a great spirit like my father. I desperately want to reconnect with great spirits. Like, it's such a, like, I mean, all the situation is obviously so brilliantly set up, and I think it's so brilliant of Lou to be like, I mean, that moment of like, well, I'm not going to take your sword because I'm not going to be your champion, but could I have something to like remember you by? I think just perfectly, like, I mean, if in case the audience didn't understand the conflict, Lou's like, no, I need you to understand.
Here is a physical representation of the conflict.
Yes, of the conflict within Ursulon. Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, that was so good. Also, I don't know about you, I fully forgot that son of a great bear, gold pauldron and shield with a tree on it could also be Sir Current. Like, I fully forgot that there was a second person that they could be describing in the prophecy of like the Man in Black's like, that's fine, I'll go get the other one. Like, I'm on my way. It's just, it's so good. It's like, it's so good. Like, because when that post credit scene is amazing, and like that everyone just like, wait, what's happening? No, not Sir Current. He can't join the bad team. He's our friend.
He can join the bad team.
He can.
It's one of those excellent plays of just shoring up. It's something that whether he's doing it on the fly because Brennan's been doing this for so long and is amazing at just improving things that feel like they had to have been planned months in advance, and they're just like, he's like, no, I just understand how these stories work and I'm so good at it. Whether it was on the fly or whether it was a sort of shore up plan of, it's like, well, they're gonna get the opportunity, they're almost certainly not gonna pick that opportunity. They're almost certainly not going to be like, yeah, I'm gonna PvP this, I'm gonna become the big, and then Lou has to play a different character to make sense with the podcast. But then bring that back up. Instead being like, but like having that in there to be like, okay, that decision is almost definitely gonna happen. So how do I make the request interesting beyond that moment? and it's like thinking in terms of when strategizing who like the at odds factions or individuals are, and how to make not just their, because it's normal for a cackling villain to be like, or any villain to be like, join my side, we're powerful, join the dark side, we have cookies and lightning, right? And everything. But if you then make them independently be like, yeah, that was an option, but I'm trying to accomplish a goal, so I'm going to utilize other options. And then you pull that into something that matters to the characters again. You're doing it like, if that's a rubric that someone can like checklist. They're like, okay, the villain's gonna do this. It's not gonna work. What are they gonna do next? And how does that hurt the characters more emotionally, or bring it closer into the story, or surprise the players? It's a checklist thing that is so obviously done in Worlds Beyond Number so much.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if anything, it's we listen to actual plays, like you said, you pause the episode, you're like, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna bring this in, I'm gonna fold it in. We listen to these things that make all of us better at running games, playing games. In theory, the majority of us, I don't even want to think about early me before I was into actual plays and tabletop. It was garbage.
I was thinking that the people out there who are, this is what my character would do, are learning the worst possible lessons from Worlds Beyond Number.
Maybe. Yeah. You can't teach
We're
wisdom.
not talking about you. We're not talking about you.
We're talking about like it's funny because it's like, it's so good, it's so impressive. I would never expect myself to be able to deliver at this kind of level. I'm happy if I get 5 minutes in a session that's as good as almost any minute of Worlds Beyond Number. If I touch that, and everything, but it can still be lessons of, it's like, why did this work? Well, because Brennan considers it in the thing of, it has to matter, and it has to keep going. The world has to exist outside of the characters, and those choices have to not be just because of what they do. The world has to be impacted by their choices, but it can be impacted by other choices. It's not like a single narrative perspective, right? Which is important, especially when you're doing, there's more than one challenge in front of you.
Yeah.
But like, God damn. So we're gonna wrap this conversation up with something that I was looking forward to. You've been batting 1,000 on speculation, Misfits and Magic too.
I was real proud of that one.
This is unrelated to Worlds Beyond Number, but more Aabria, Iyengar in our life, more Brennan Lee Mulligan, more Lou Wilson, more Eric. We just get Danielle as well, and then we get it like 10, 11 more sessions with this great crew of people.
I think we all agree it was supposed to be 10 and something happened, right?
Yeah, I got it. They were like, the editors were like, we're making it 11.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right.
At hour 4 of episode 10, they're like, but Bria, we gotta stop. You're not halfway done yet.
But batting 1,000, let's stick to some wild speculation about Arc 4, the fallout of Arc 3, because shit's about to get real pressing on this. Jordon, do you have any wild speculation about, or even reasonable speculation leading into wild speculation about where they're gonna go?
I think my most reasonable speculation is we won't get the train in Arc 4 as much as I want it.
I want the train so bad.
I want that train so bad. Good God, Brennan, just like, you introduce trains and a magic train ticket that like only you're gonna hear the stop it. It's too good. It needs to be in every fantasy world. Like,
that's absolute stealing right there.
Yeah,
That's theft worthy. That is as theft worthy as a youth spilling a ton of keys out.
And a fox eating them.
And a fox swallowing a key. And a
there you
door knocker.
How about the fox dies? There's my wild speculation for Arc 4.
You cannot kill the fox. That is the one. It has the most. The fox can only die at the end of Act 2, leading into the final rising at like the impetus for the absolute escalation of Act 3. Oh my god. My wild speculation is that I think, and it's going to be a challenge, but I think that eventually they're going to put Ame in the position of you have to make an in-moment choice and pick a side. And that side is going to affect how your character... That's going to be your Arc 5 internal character struggle. And I think it's going to be that Ame's going to have to kill something she doesn't want to. And I think it's going to be either a great spirit or one of the witches of the council.
Ooh, that's very fun.
Because I really think that they're gonna push Ame and Suvi and sort of Ursulon, but again, it's different for him because of who he is physically as a character in the space. They're gonna really drive them into, all right, you've been arguing about this, you've been fighting about this and everything. I'm not going to give it to you as clean as your character has the time to think about it, make an effort and everything. You know, Suvi, you said you'd burn the world down, burn the world to get to them. Ame, you say that you are trying to meet in the middle, and they're not trying to meet in the middle. This has gone beyond, let's just stop the Citadel's imperialism. And everything. I think Brennan's not going to give them something so simple as Suvi needs to realize Citadel bad.
Yeah, Brennan's not going to do that. Brennan's,
also because this Brennan,
he's a monster. Yeah, I loved it was the most recent Fireside where Aabria was like, "I have a question from Aabria. Brennan, why are you like this?" Whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm a patron subscriber.
Yeah, so
I can submit questions.
Just everything about it is magical. I mean, look, I don't want to dwell on. Obviously, I've talked a ton about. We've talked about the sound design, and how Taylor Moore is just crushing it beyond measure. We got guitar. We got guitar for the first time. And if they go to the train, we get more guitar. Let them go to the train, Brennan.
We gotta get to that train. We gotta get to that goddamn train.
But also, I can't get over. Putting prophecy into an actual play, I think, is the hardest possible thing you can do because you are playing improv with people. And even if those people are 100% on board with the story you are collectively telling, getting that prophecy to work when dice are involved is, nothing short of miraculous. To be like, all of the things that... I don't know that they hit every note of the wizard. Was it? I was going to say stone, but that's not it.
No, it's
Sundry. Who am I thinking of that predicted
the predictive wizard, the prophesizing wizard? I can't remember it. Sly? Yeah. Is it Sly?
I think it is Sly.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if these things don't happen, Ame dies, and to have all of those things come together, and even if it was like a maybe not beat for beat, like Ursulon raises his shield to stop an arrow and save Ame, it all made sense, but also then to include the Man in Black prophecy, just all of that working and paying off is, it is genuinely miraculous. I cannot believe that they could do it without being like, hey, I wrote this script, here you go, this is how the prophecy works.
Yeah, it's really about keeping your head on a swivel as a GM and being like, okay, these are a handful of beats that I need to make sure get checked off in some fashion or another so that it all makes sense. It's heroics to do it. Yeah. But also it's one of those things where it's it's very clear Brennan's I made the prophecy enough that I just have to hit these.
Yeah.
If I hit these, I trust my players are always going to be firing on all cylinders, so they're gonna make any version of hitting this great.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened, and that's exactly what happens when you have just nothing
the four best actual play people alive.
It's so wild how good this show is. It's the kind of thing where it's this is essentially it. To make this a YouTube title, or synopsis that is really
pointed at us, and
fire. If actual play is cinema, Worlds Beyond Number almost feels like finally, we're out of the silent film era.
Yeah.
And we're into dialogue in film. We are setting the tone for it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is just gonna be the benchmark now. Not that other I listen to NADPOD, I listen to watch High Rollers. Like, I love a lot of different actual play, but like this is now like this is the step forward in the field in a way that's simultaneously improv and actual play, but more curated and edited and paced. And Taylor has basically set the tone of, it's like, it can be sounding this good every episode. And of course they have all the benefits and advantages of veterans in the space with existing fandom, so that they can do the fiscal lift of this and make it make sense. But like, at the end of the day, now it's exactly what's happening in the Dimension 20 Dome with the arms race between Aabria and Brennan on how can we keep punching this up.
I can't wait for Tabby.
This isn't a Dimension 20 video, but you got to mention Tab. Like,
yeah, what is a nightmare?
It's Tabby, Carlos Luna, always there for Aabria when she needs him.
Aabria will never. That means Tabby has to die, right? Like, we're all in agreement. Tabby has to die in this
simply
season.
Must be destroyed in some fashion or another. But it's just at that point where it's like, oh, I'm seeing color film for the first time. I'm seeing like a massive shift in how this genre is presented to an audience in a way that is going to, 5 years from now, going to be like, yeah, we're all trying to hit this, right? Like, everyone's getting closer to this. NFL players are no longer average-bodied people in the 70s that have another job on the side. Guitars can have effects pedals in them, right? Like that's the space that we're in. So I'm so excited for Arc 4. I'm excited when Ursulon has to run his steel through his childhood hero. Whenever that eventually happens, that's gonna be dark.
Arc 27.
Arc 27.
Yeah.
Also, just to say this, I get a little frustrated at it on an intellectual level, but I never care when I'm actually listening to the thing. Man, I get that it needs the time, it needs the space in the podcast. Man, I wish this was a weekly. This was a weekly so goddamn bad. Being like, okay, it's been over a year. There's been 30 episodes. I'm going to be listening to this until my mid-40s. That's obviously what's happening. At least. Maybe this is an 8-year-long campaign. Brennan wrapped up a 14-year-long run, so he's not scared of that.
Yep.
But Jordon, what... because we no longer do this regularly, what would you like to plug, Jordon?
Oh, man. Hey, gang, guess what? Next week, if you like Worlds Beyond Number, I'm sitting down with Brennan Lee Mulligan, Erika Ishii, Taylor Moore, and Aabria Iyengar, everybody but Lou, and that'll be up on my Patreon. And Taylor Moore, solo interview, also on my Patreon next week.
Can you give a date idea on this? Because this will probably go up next Monday or Tuesday.
It's already live on my Patreon then.
Well, the
Taylor Moore one will be Friday. The Worlds Beyond Number one is coming Monday, unless I am so exhausted after the interview I cannot put it online.
Okay, so Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so go to patreon.com/the Jordon Brown. And go watch the interview. Give Jordon a little bit of money. Go give Jordon a little bit of money. Binge his Patreon, and then stop giving him money if you don't want to, or keep giving him money if you do have the money to give him.
Both are fine.
I have a feeling that I will be doing a little bit more content around Misfits and Magic. I probably won't do episodic things, but I'm kind of inspired to do a video based off this conversation of Suvi is right. The world's beyond. Suvi is right.
Always right.
Imperialism is good.
Yeah. She doesn't know it yet.
But I have hot, spicy takes on what happens in a world where humanity is in no way clearly the top of the pecking order, and how that shifts the conversation around empire and security in a way that we don't experience in our real world and everything. And
some spirits need to be put into paintings. I'll just say it. Like,
other
some
spirits
are
agree.
dangerous.
Some spirits have said that they like putting. I've heard that they like putting other spirits in paintings, and if one spirit likes it, it must be a good practice.
Exactly.
So maybe I'll do the Citadel is right to just heat up the YouTubes as a follow-up. But yeah, go to patreon.com/thejordanbrown. Go watch his interview. Thank you so much for joining me, Jordon. We'll do this again, Steve. On something. It's always delightful.
Look, at the least, Arc 4. You promised me that.
I can promise you in
Arc
every
4.
Arc thing.
Great.
We'll probably have to talk about Misfits of Magic sometime in
Probably.
there because it's a perfect season. And if you could just, suddenly double the amount of time you have in a day and join me for a weekly campaign, that would also be cool.
Yeah, easy.
Just double your time.
Yeah.
Thank you, audience. It's been fantastic, Jordon. Have a good day, and I'm excited for October and Arc 4. Bye.
Hooray.